Logarithms have always been a tough concept to learn, but once you understand the structure, it gets easier. I'm going to approach it in a weird way by comparing English to German, but once you see what I'm doing, it should all begin to make sense. So here we go. You see, math is a language, just like English or German. And as language, it follows a certain syntax. Syntax is the order that's used to construct a sentence. And we can tell if someone is having trouble with a language if their syntax isn't correct. Let's take a look at a few types of math sentences. So, for example, I could say that 2x3 is equal to 3x2. And you notice that we put the numbers here on the outside and the order of what kind of operation it is on the inside here. And then always in the middle is an equal sign. And as long as we understand what we're doing, everybody else can follow. We can also do something else. So we can also do something like 2.3, which means the same thing as this thing here, is equal to 2, 3x. The reason I switch this dot for the x is because now this x has a certain meaning that's different from what is up there. Now both this one and this one is a legitimate sentence in math. Notice it's still got the equal sign in the middle. But this one here does not make sense. If I wrote 2.3 is equal to x2, 3, we'd be scratching our heads. And why? It's because this thing here is not in the right place. So the syntax of math says that this is not correct. This is not a legitimate sentence as far as we know. So this is how math is a language. It follows a certain syntax. So now let's take a look at this. I mentioned that math is a language like English or German. So why did I use these two languages? It's because I'm going to show you how you can use the syntax for English to write an exponential function and the syntax for German to write a logarithmic function. So here I have two different sentences, one in English, one in German. The one in English is I went home, and in German, the same thing is written as Ich bin nach Hause gegangen. It means the same thing. Now let me take a look at how this all works out. So I is a noun, and went is the verb, and home is the second noun. All right? This is the English syntax. But in German, our syntax is a little different. So here's the noun. Ich is I. Hause is the other noun. That's home. And gegangen is the verb. That's here. So notice that in German, your syntax is noun, noun, verb. In German, it's very common to have sentences where all the nouns are at the beginning of the sentence and all the verbs are towards the end. So in German, you have to listen to the whole sentence to figure out what happened. So how does that work with exponential and logarithmic functions? Let's take a look at it. So if I were to write an exponential function, I would use English syntax. So I'm going to do this. I will write I like math. All right, so in my case, I'm using noun, verb, noun as my syntax to write an exponential function. Okay, you see that? Noun, verb, noun. Now I'm going to write the same thing as a logarithmic function, but I'm going to use German syntax. So it looks like this. Log, I, math, like. So once again, let's take a look at, in English, I have noun, verb, noun. And in German, I have noun, noun, verb. Okay, so I did that. So what? How does that really make any sense? If I say use this, I can say 2 to the third power is equal to 8. But if I use the German syntax to write logs, I would write it as log 2, 8 is equal to 3. These two have the same meaning. But you could say that the exponential functions are written in English and logarithmic functions are written in German. And when you start working problems with both exponential and logarithmic functions, what you're going to be doing is always switching from one to the other.